Adam Thompson, Chocolate Starfish, promoting the Bat Out of Hell return with strings attached tour.
Nice, Adam. Thanks for joining us today. That sounds very alluring with the strings attached.
Oh, look, it is. We had a lot of success a couple of years ago with the Bat Out of Hell show, and we just thought, look, if we're going to do it again, let's take it to another level. And it was about a year and a half ago. I did with the MSO. I did a George Michael show at the My Music Bowl with David Campbell and Nat Bathing-Swaite and a few others, and it was with an orchestra, and I just loved it. And I just sort of said to the boys, if why don't we up the ante and see if we can add a string section and really make it, because it's so made for those sort of shows. I know Meatloaf back in the day did several of them, and that album is just made for strings.
All right, so we'll get into that a little bit more later on. But first, I want to let people know what we're talking about because they could be thinking we're talking about strings and no band attached.
I love
What
it.
we are actually talking about is Chocolate Starfish's Bat Out of Hell Meatloaf tribute show that makes its return with a run of shows starting on July the 5th in Melbourne. Then you head through Tweed Heads, Caloundra, Hobart, Sydney, Bendigo, Brisbane, Cairns, and Adelaide, and finish in Perth on August the 30th. It's a big run of shows, mate. How do you prepare mentally and physically for a tour like that, especially when it's not your own music?
Yeah, it really is a big preparation, and hence why I'm sort of taking a few months off now to uh, to write and record new material. So you've almost got to, I know this sounds a bit weird, but you've almost got to divorce yourself from that tour, because if you get too stressed out about it or too into it too early, it's like peaking for a performance, or peaking for a game if you're a footballer or something like that. You got to peak at the right time, and we do our own practice and our own, I guess, playing at home to prepare. And then when we come in a month before, we'll do a few weeks with the band, just, I guess, getting it tight again. And then we'll add the string section then, so that by the time we get to the first show, we're not jaded and we're not sort of over it. We're right in that sweet spot of, wow, we're really enjoying this. And, to have the string section along with us just means that it's even bigger and better.
Yeah, and I've noticed most of the shows are theatre shows as well, mate. So that sort of provides for a much better setting, doesn't it?
Look, I think it does for a show like Batter to Hell with strings. Obviously, with that string section, there are moments in not only that debut album by Batter to Hells with Meatloaf and Jim Steinman, but subsequent material that Jim wrote for other artists, which we're also featuring on the show. So, like, Celine Dion's All Coming Back to Me Now and Total Eclipse of the Heart and those other classics. They are very orchestrated in the way they're written. So to be able to do those in a theatre means that you can have those pin drop moments in songs like Heaven Can Wait. There you go. That's a great example. Heaven Can Wait's, so emotional for people that have either lost a loved one, or really want to convey how they feel. But then a minute later, I'll literally get the whole audience up in the theatre dancing to Paradise by the Dashboard Light,
Mhm.
which you can't not dance to. It's just
Or
such a great song. So that is the beauty of doing a theatre show, is that you can almost navigate the audience into um, the journey with you in a way that, there's moments when they'll want to reflect, and there's moments when they want to go off their head. So it's a win-win.
it is, and you raise an interesting point there too, bro. Like, there's probably a lot of people out there that love Meatloaf, and particularly the album "Bad Out of Hell," but have got no idea that Jim Steinman wrote for so many other people. So the fact that you're doing those songs in the set as well will probably open a lot of people's eyes up.
It really will. And you're right. They're the two that I mentioned, with Bonnie Tyler, they're big ones. But even Jim had his own hit with Rock and Roll Dreams Come Through, which is a huge, it was a top 10 song in Australia. As soon as I start singing it, people are gonna know, oh, that one. But he also wrote Making Love Out of Nothing at All for me, not for Meatloaf, for the Air Supply of
Oh,
all making love out of nothing at all. It's
oh
also
yeah, I do know, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there's so many songs that he wrote. A little bit like Prince, you know how Prince has wrote so many other songs for other people, but you don't equate it with the original artist. You just you equate it only with the hit that you know. So that's so good, and to be able to do those extra songs. We're actually going to do a bit of a a bit of a Stars on 45, if you're old enough to remember that mega mix of some of those extra songs, right, into a bit of a almost a club anthem mega mix. So it's
Right, that'll be
going to be,
interesting.
oh man, it's going to be fantastic. So uh, yeah, just
Yeah,
all I
cool.
can say is, like every Chocolate Starfish show, there are surprises that you just didn't see coming.
Some of them you don't want to see coming.
Only you can say that to me, mate, and live to tell the tale for another interview.
Nice. And I noticed a lot of the shows are PG rated as well, which means the kiddies can come along and get to experience the magic of Meatloaf.
Yeah, look, what we've found in the last 5 or 6 years for us, since we started doing these classic albums like Battered Hell, I did the Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack, that a lot of I guess they're probably grandparents or older parents want to bring their kids to some of the music they grew up with. And that's just been great because not only have they enjoyed the shows through us, but then they've experienced Chocolate Starfish. And then, of course, we do Mountain and Four Letter Word and other songs of our own within the encore with some of these shows. And then there's a whole new younger audience that are experiencing us
Mm.
through these classic albums. So yeah, you're right. Battered Hell is a great way to, you know, to introduce people between 15 or I would say even younger. Maybe we have 12, 10-year-olds coming to our show and loving it. And because their mentality listening to the radio is only, 2.5, 3 minute pop songs
Yeah, if
that are
that.
quite a generic and homogenous often within their soundscape. They don't get to experience the dynamics of an album like Batter to Hell. So it's such a great learning experience for these kids, which is why then they want to keep coming back.
Yeah, sweet. Now we'll get on to the string section now that you've got with it. Like, how many piece string section is it for a start, and how is it going to change the dynamics of the performance?
Yeah, so it's an eight-piece string section, and the dynamics of the performance will change because where we've only previously had Norm playing the synth, for something like For Crying Out Loud or Heaven Can Wait, some of those sort of more slower songs, um, you'll have that sort of lush uh, tones that a string section bring, So just to feel that groan of the cello on the now the chilly Californian wind is blowing down our bodies again. Oh man, it's just going to be
You just
my
gave me goosebumps, bro. You just gave
yeah.
me goosebumps.
Oh, thanks, mate. Just to feel that, and what it does, it'll heighten the emotion, but then again, like, adding it to some of the more rock songs as well. Who did that really well? Even when you look at someone like who I know you love, Metallica. When they've added string sections to some of their music, all even the up songs, all it does is strengthen
Give some depth.
the depth of what
Yeah.
that song is all about. And we're going to let them sit in on a couple of Starfish songs too, like Mountain, which I just know
Oh,
going to be just really good. So
oh, that's good to
Norm's
know.
been flat out writing all these charts, not only for Better to Hell, but and Steinman's songs, but also for ours to make it even more special.
That's great. The only concern I've got there, mate, and I say this with the utmost respect, but it's going to have to be a lot more structured with the string section there. And you're not known for doing things a conventional way. You love to ad lib and go off in your own little tangent. So
All
you're going to have
right.
to
So
be able to, are
yeah,
you? Because you're going to have to go to the score.
So, listeners slash viewers, and I'm being honest here, none of these questions were put before me before the interview today, and so that just shows me how much you know me. Now, if you think you're scared about that, can you imagine the band, right? If they're half a bar in front of or half a bar behind the string section, uh,
Impossible.
all it's going to mean, my friend, is when I go like that and I want to loop a certain section, you all better be watching because, come with me is all I'm going to say. Because we might go have a breakdown in the middle of Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and I might be going to Chapel Roan's Pink Pony Club. Is all I'm saying, mate. You never know.
Speaking of your natural flamboyancy, mate, like you still bring that to your role while you're singing the Meatloaf songs, which I think is fantastic. Like it shows that you've still got your own DNA sprinkled through it. But how does that go over with a lot of people? Does it offend anyone that are purists?
Well, that is a terrific question. And I wish I mean, I can't speak on behalf of all the people who come and watch the show, and there's lots of them. In the early days, I mean, it's like anything, mate. The purists probably didn't like what we did to You're So Vain. If you think about that, it's completely different to the way Carly Simon did it, and even more recently on our Beautiful Addiction album with Four Non Blondes, What's Up? We definitely put a different spin on that. So I'm sure there are purists who would want to hear and also maybe see, someone dressed up in a fat suit and looking exactly like Meatloaf and being that character, and tonally perhaps copying it. But I think the brand Chocolate Starfish now is almost synonymous with putting our own DNA on things. And um, by nature, we choose things like Bohemian Rhapsody and like Bat Out of Hell that are inherently already flamboyant and already theatrical. So I guess I'm just pushing the boundaries in a starfish way to see how much more we can milk out of that song or add to that song. And look, the tickets are selling so incredibly well that there's obviously not that many people offended by it because
They can fuck right off anyway if they are.
there's thousands, my friend, who are already booked in to see this tour, and we've only been on sale for about 5 weeks, so it's pretty amazing.
Very good, man. Very good. Now, from a vocalist point of view, like you're singing songs written by one of the best songwriters of all time,
Hmm.
sung by a bloke that is loved by many and is a motherfucker, but you still make it your own, like you're reproducing it in your own image. Like, how hard is that to do, man? Like, it doesn't sound like it'd be pretty easy.
No, it's not, and it's not instant, mate. This is an evolution over time. Like if you think about it, even back in the 90s, it's pretty well documented that in the old days, pubs used to have sound meters, and if the band was too loud, the sound meter would
Yeah, I
cut
remember
the
them.
day out. You remember those?
Yeah.
And anyway, so my go-to, because it would often take 4 to 5 minutes before it resets, before the band could start again. And rather than walk off stage like an Australian Idol singer, um, I
Yeah.
would I'd jump out in the five, six, 700 people out in the middle of, and I'd gather them all around and I'd start singing an a cappella version of Bat Out of Hell until the PA kicked back in.
Oh, for real.
Yeah. So that's what I did that 30 years ago. And then when we contemplated doing this, you know, again, do we sound identical? Do we dress the same? All those things sort of evolved. And my character, as you know, by seeing and holding my hand out of the prayer circle at Monday Monday, a whole story, folks.
I've got the photos. It's one of the best moments of my life.
Um, you see my character is constantly developing and evolving and it's almost like limitless. And that's kind of how I feel about taking on a role like this. It's almost like um, you're owning it, but you're owning it in your own way. So, but I'm more than that, mate. I'm still proud to deliver songs that had the biggest influence on me as a kid. Like this album in particular had the greatest influence on me growing up. We may have talked about this in the past, but when Mum died, this was the album that got me through it when I was 14, and it was the sorrowful songs like Heaven Can Wait that hit me in the heart. But I'm 14, I'm going through puberty as well, so mate, let me tell you, all revved up and no place to go. Did not have a shine of light on me, mate, when I was out there with the baby calves in the farm. Let me tell you.
I got photos of that too. Very good. All right, Adam. Well, thanks for the chat, mate. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Where can people find out more information and get tickets to the Bat Out of Hell? No strings
Yeah,
attached.
if you don't have them, and I can tell you, I know you're interviewing me from beautiful Brisbane, and sorry to hear all the weather you've gone through of late. The Tivoli is only about 100 tickets left, and the Twin Towns and the Caloundra shows are already more than half sold as well. So what you need to do is jump onto chocolatestarfish.com.au, and the ticket links to not only Queensland but the rest of Australia is all there, and it's going to be a show to remember, everybody. And thanks to Heavy as always, mate. We love chatting with you, mate.